Hey guys, how's it going? It's Sean. So I'm here today at the DMZ. This is one of the most dangerous borders in the world. And I've been living in Korea for 8.5 years, and today is actually my first time being here, which is kind of incredible, but I'm really excited. My girlfriend and I decided to go on a tour of the DMZ, which provided a shuttle bus to and from Seoul, and a complete guided tour with an experienced tour guide. It was only 80,000 won, and they offered tours in both Korean and English. But what is the DMZ? The DMZ, or Demilitarized Zone, came into existence as a result of the Korean War, which lasted from 1950 to 1953. The war divided the Korean peninsula into two separate nations, Communist North Korea and Capitalist South Korea. In 1953, an armistice was signed, establishing a temporary ceasefire and creating a demilitarized buffer zone. Despite its tense military presence, the DMZ has also served as a site for peace talks and diplomatic exchanges. Today, the DMZ stands as a reminder of the divided Korean peninsula and the ongoing tensions between the two nations. However, it also represents the possibility of peace and reunification in the future. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19 restrictions, we won't be able to visit the JSA, or Joint Security Area, or in Korean, Panmunjom. But there are so many other amazing things to see in the DMZ tour. So I actually found out today that the DMZ tour is one of the most popular tours in South Korea, and I took a shuttle bus here with some other foreigners. I was so curious as to why they decided to come here and not Jeju or Busan or some other place in South Korea. Why here? So let's go ask some people why they decided to come see this part of South Korea. Let's do it. Hey guys, where are you from?
We're from Australia.
We're from the Netherlands.
Yeah, same.
Oh, I'm good. I'm from Germany.
The DMZ tour is actually one of the most popular tours in South Korea. But as you know, it's one of the most dangerous borders in the world. You could go anywhere. You could go to a PCbang, you could go to Busan, you could go to Jeju. Maybe you have gone to some of these places. But why come here?
It's just a piece of history that we don't really get anywhere else, and
Right.
we're just very interested by the border itself. So
I think it's the modern version of the Cold War, and it's cool to learn something about North Korea, about South Korea, the difference they had and they still have, better than watch it on Discovery Channel. Yeah, but it doesn't feel
dangerous.
Doesn't feel dangerous.
Yeah, as I said, I'm coming from Germany, and I spent my childhood in the eastern part of Germany.
Yeah,
you
during
know?
the Cold War.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, that scenery and that situation reminds me a little bit at the time when Germany was still divided. So
Yeah.
of course it's quite different here. It's probably more dangerous.
Yeah.
I was a teenager,
Yeah.
and I went to Berlin. You know, the city of Berlin was divided by the Berlin Wall,
Yeah.
and I could just, as I doing it here, look over the fence and see the western part.
Yeah.
And it was always my dream one time to see the rest of the world.
And so you're coming here to see two countries that are still at war. They still have a wall.
Exactly, and I'm hoping the best for the Korean people, that they will also overcome the situation one day.
Do your family think you're crazy for going to the border of North Korea?
No, not really.
No.
No. It's one of the highlights of the country as well, so
Yeah.
that's interesting.
I think it's more safe than going to Israel. A lot of people go to Israel as well, so I think
Yeah.
Korea is quite safe.
Of course, we are all worried about that,
Yeah.
because we are listening to the news,
Right.
what's going to happen with the missile tests, what they are doing in the northern part. But I think it's pretty well protected for the visitors here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel safe, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's actually 4 tunnels that were discovered, 4 official tunnels that the North Korean soldiers created underground to try to secretly enter South Korea, perhaps attack South Korea, attack Seoul, the president here. We're going to enter a tunnel now, and it's man-made, and it's actually quite long. My wonderful tour guide was explaining that when South Korea first discovered these tunnels, the North Koreans lied and said that no, it was the South Koreans that made this. And then as we found more tunnels, we found 2, 3, 4 tunnels. So after we discovered this many tunnels, the North Koreans actually changed their story. They said, oh no, these are mining tunnels. But if we look at history and we know that they actually attempted to do this, they actually entered South Korea in the 60s, the late 60s, to secretly attack Park Chung-hee. So it's very obvious they're lying a lot, but we're actually gonna see these man-made tunnels. It's pretty incredible. I'm excited. Let's do it. Yeah, so we just got out of the first location, the tunnel. It was pretty insane. Unfortunately, we couldn't film in there. They told us not to, but it was really steep, right?
Yeah.
Really long.
Yeah, we had to walk with our backs down like this.
Yes, right. Really wet. It was like super underground, really long. It was kind of impressive. And I had to bend down like this because I'm really tall.
Yeah.
And then we saw the fake black mark on the wall where they, apparently they're mining there, right? Look, here's the sign. It's all fake, it's all lies.
Yeah,
but
they made an excuse.
But really interesting, really impressive. Let's go to the next location.
Yeah.
Okay, so this area is really awesome. This is the observatory. We can actually see North Korea over that way. And this is really cool because there's actually a 4-kilometer area where no humans can go. We can't really build anything there. No one can go there. The reason is there's so many landmines. It's actually very dangerous to go in there. But what's also really interesting is that for this whole time there's landmines, it's dangerous. No humans can go there. The nature, the animals are thriving, they're flourishing. This whole kind of DMZ zone, it goes all the way from the west to the east of Korea. So it's very long, and towards the east there's thriving, flourishing wildlife. So you can see it here. It's a bit of a cloudy day, but it's very incredible. We can actually see North Korea, and I'm gonna show you guys now the fake North Korean propaganda village. Actually, some of the windows are painted on. A lot of the buildings on the inside don't even have floors. They created it to show the people in South Korea how well they're living. Look everyone, we're living so well. We have this amazing town that we're living in. This village, by the way, is called Kijeongdong, and there's actually a very large flag in the middle of it. The reason why this is so tall is because the North Koreans saw the South Koreans raise a flag and they didn't want to be outdone. They wanted to raise their flag higher to show their superiority. So far, this has been one of my favorite parts of the tour, and I'm starting to see why this is such a popular tour for people visiting Korea. Cool, let's now go to the next location. I wanted to share with you guys some other really interesting facts about the DMZ and this area of South Korea. My tour guide was telling me that there's a very small village in South Korea called Daesongdong. Like around 200 people, and these are farmers and families of farmers that have been living in this village since even before the Korean War. And the interesting thing is that these people pay no taxes at all, and the men in these villages do not have to go to military in South Korea because all men in South Korea actually have to go to military. Also, the rice in this part of the country is very famous. So because they don't have to pay taxes and they're making very delicious rice and they're selling it to a bunch of people around here, they actually make a lot of money. They live really well.
Average income from their harvest is about $90,000.
Which is really good compared to the rest of the country on average. It's the only area in this restricted zone of the DMZ that people are allowed to live, citizens, but they actually have a curfew. They're not allowed out after 11 p.m. There's a lot of rules, it's very strict. But if you're not born in this small village, you're not allowed to move there, you're not allowed to live there. Only people who have already been living there can continue to live there and, have families there. Overall, this was such a fun experience. I've always been interested in history. It makes so much more sense now why this is such a dangerous area and why it's such a popular area too for tourists. All right, guys, that's all I have for this video. Overall, it's been an amazing experience. I've learned so much about the history, about the relations of North and South Korea, and even just the nature here, the fresh air, it's been amazing. And while you're in the DMZ area, here are some other great places you can visit. First, we have Camp Greaves, just 2 kilometers from the DMZ's southern limit. This former US base has been transformed by Gyeonggi Province into a unique peace and reunification experience center offering cultural and artistic activities. Next is the Imjingak Peace Gondola, a unique way to view the region from above, connecting the civilian transit line for the first time and allowing visitors to take in the tranquil views while pondering the region's historical significance. Lastly, visit Imjingak Peace Nuri Park, a cultural space representing reconciliation, coexistence, and hopes for peace and reunification. If you haven't come to see the DMZ to go on a tour, I highly recommend it. The tours are very organized. You learn so much. You can ask so many questions. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. All right, guys. Once again, I'm Sean, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.